welcome to The Smartest Moron, where despite changing the format of the show, we're still looking at the Devil May Cry series. You know, it only took about a year. Good job, me.
Why bother, I hear you say? After all, the DMC series is most well known and loved for the gameplay. Well, that's the thing. Not only do I have a soft spot for this game, but the plot of Game 3 is actually good. I wouldn't even be surprised if that's the reason this one is more loved than 4. Barring other reasons I will cover one day. Now, this review was meant to be out much sooner, but Persona 5 happened, then Depression happened, and it goes into a weird as hell pattern ending with me changing the format of the show. Now, despite my love for DMC 3, are there elements I just don't like? I'll get to this stuff in the plot later, but in terms of gameplay, oh hell yes. Certain enemy types kinda feel like crap, like the monsters in the mist, or those angelic assholes that are just awful. Some boss fights are also just not good. The centipede thing was tedious and actually kinda boring. The lady boss fight was just questionable due to invincibility frame she has. Her father was an asshole and how you can't even double trigger for the second half. And Grayon, the horse, nobody likes this boss. Plus there are issues with the camera that are annoying, and trying to do certain direction moves were strangely difficult to do at times, like to do a normal hit before doing the proper attack. Aside from that, the encounters had the right amount of challenge and fun. Though jumping from 2 to 3 was a dizzying experience. No really, I was literally so dizzy that I needed breaks between recordings for the first few levels. I can't even remember if I did have turbo mode on. After Game 2 failed, Capcom learned their lesson and took their time with 3, but Itsuno was still in charge for whatever reason. Normally I would dread that considering, well, I mean just look at Game 2. But given how the product turned out, he and his team definitely deserve all the praise. And honestly, when trying to do research, Hideki Kamiya did not have any involvement with this title. He says he found the story fine. And yeah, that's about as much as I could dig up.
I normally try to contact him for more info or everything, but he still has me blocked and is pretty much an asshole. At the very least, he's a talented one, so he has that going for him.
The funny thing is that there was a screw-up where normal mode was actually hard mode. Although it could have also been done on purpose when we all complained about how piss-poor easy DMC2 was. Because of this, it required more practice and patience in order to be good at the game. Thankfully, they fixed this with the special edition, and even added Vergil as a playable character. Although he just repeats all the stages Dante did. The HD collection uses this, and in case you haven't noticed, they didn't enhance all the cutscenes as some of them do look rough around the edges. This goes for all the games, and I don't know if the PS4 fixes this. Or if it's actually, not a problem on the PS3. I do see other people posting much higher quality footage than I do, so maybe this was exclusive to the 360 version? Hell if I know. Thankfully, that doesn't affect how the game performs, as it is a remarkable improvement. I wish I had more time to give this game, but I kinda just want to focus on the plot. Some of you might laugh again at me doing this format, but I do feel it's worth covering. Besides, if Linkard can do an analysis on Power Rangers, I think I can do whatever the hell I please.
So let's not waste any more time. Let's dive into Devil May Cry 3 on the HD edition for the Xbox 360. And no, I'm not paying for the PS4 version. I'm still broke.
The story is a prequel to the first game, dealing with a Dante who is starting up his business and acting quite differently from what we saw in the first game. Let's do a bit of a comparison.
Devil May Cry. Sorry, we closed at 9. Again, no password. I can't seem to get any movement.
Sorry, not open for business yet. I haven't even picked a name for this joint, and I'm already getting calls.
So one of the main things about this game is Dante growing into the hero we see in the first game, and throughout the rest of the series. The other part is dealing with a giant tower that suddenly appears in the middle of the city, releasing demons. This is Temen Nigaru, a sealed tower that can open the gates to the demon world and was sealed by Sparta. And it's also here that we see Vergil is the one to do so, alongside the new villain, Arkham, a human who wants power just like Vergil. And finally at the middle of all this is Lady, Arkham's daughter who wants revenge and hates demons since her father killed her mother due to occult-related stuff. It's a surprisingly simple story with a twist that does change things for both Dante and Lady so they can develop. Even Vergil develops a bit too, though not so radically. Let's focus on the main star himself first. This version does not only have a bit of a foul attitude, but does not like his father, as stated with this line with Vergil.
Why do you refuse to gain power? The power of our father, Sparta.
Father? I don't have a father. I just don't like you, that's all.
We know about the death of his mother, and it's clear he values her given how he wears the amulet as opposed to just selling it for some quick cash. That in Game 1, of course. His dad is a different story though, since it's likely Dante blames him for the death of his mom. How so? Well, she was human, and based on what I know and how the brothers act, likely didn't have any protection assigned to her. And I know why the idea of Sparta having apprentices is very stupid in the anime, since it should have made Dante a bit resentful given they did nothing to help the family and have the balls to try and kill him. He even describes it perfectly against Beowulf, where his attitude's different from other fights in the game, being pissed off that he has to clean his own dad's mess. Any demon who hates Sparta will seek the two out due to what happened. Well, in this case also any humans, but more on that later, so some resentment can be formed from that alone. Dante definitely didn't ask for all this stuff, and since he had to live alone, he was kinda guileless, not really sure what he wanted until he started up a shop, and is in no rush to sell his services to help people, choosing instead to eat some pizza when that call could have been someone genuinely wanting help. This is kinda reflected in his fighting style by using multiple weapons and styles rather than just stick with one, unable to focus on one thing, just like his life. Now, it's not to say he's heartless. He did save Lady, though was being a dick about it, and wasn't really antagonistic. He never even tries to kill her either, instead focusing on dodging her shots or making sure neither of them comes to harm. And he eventually learns to care about the situation through her, after Arkham tricks all three of them. Although I still wonder how the hell Lady healed so quickly from having her legs stabbed. Yeah, she has a bandage, but look how quickly she gets up.
Whoa!
Try me.
Which brings us to Lady, since we'll have to examine her to see how Dante changed for the better. She can easily be seen as the person who never smiles, is constantly angry, has tons of guns and pouches, and my god, with a bit more work, I can easily fit her into a crappy 90s comic. Fortunately, unlike those in Youngblood, at least as far as issues reviewed by Linkara, she actually has a character, and isn't twisting her spine or attacking people with her crotch. Yes, that was a thing. While her mind is set to kill all demons, it does make sense given what Arkham is chasing, and the fact that every demon she fights just wants to kill her. Her father kills her mother for the sake of demon worshipping. Anything dealing with the occult likely rubbed her the wrong way, and Dante's attitude and skill doesn't exactly make him likable to her either, since he doesn't defend himself at any point, even egging Lady on in a few cases, like when she questioned if Dante killed her father, leading to a bit of a fight due to him being a jerk. And despite all that anger, there is a bit of a softer side, not making Lady seem like the Punisher or anything, and reflects her young age when she thinks Arkham was possessed and he's able to lie to her. She's so emotionally vulnerable that people can take advantage of her anger, making her feel more human, especially when it's clear how attached she was to her family. Part of her didn't want to believe her last bit of family had turned evil, and she's given that false hope as Arkham says he was possessed, which was a massive lie. Further showing her attachment to her own family is her weapon, the giant rocket launcher with a blade, which has her mother's name. After Arkham tricks her, she even feels massive responsibility for what she did, believing it's her fault for being related to Arkham for letting him trick her, since, well, he was just lying there, Lady probably could just stabbed him in the face. Her comment to Dante can also be seen as not just her hatred of demons showing, but the fact that he is just someone who has not shown the capacity to care for anyone by constantly making jokes. Given her motives and Dante's lack of one, as well as the development he has to undergo, she really is kind of the main hero of Devil May Cry. Eventually, Dante does try to stop her for her own good, though I think their boss fight is one dealing more with getting out some aggression as opposed to actually trying to kill each other, well, at least on Dante's end. I mean, it kinda makes sense since they're both hotheads, and Dante seems to know that, given he gives her gun back rather than, just slamming her around like she was frickin' Loki. Proving this is basically Lady tiring out, missing each shot and Dante getting close enough to get her to finally stop. It's only when she is free from that anger does she finally calm down, and get to see a much more calmer and rational Dante, able to finally see him for who he really is, even giving him her weapon. I can also kinda see this moment as being able to let go of her hateful feelings towards him too, and deciding to discard who she was in order to kill Arkham, embracing the name Lady. Lady easily reflects a similar state like the two brothers, with her mother dead as a result of her father. Sure, Sparta didn't actually kill Ava, I'm not saying that, but by not leaving her with some protection or doing something to ensure she can live and die in peace, it's easy to see Dante hate him for that. And while her obsession to kill Arkham and reject everything dark is kind of the opposite of what Vergil wants, well, they're still both blinded, unable to have their views changed until they are beaten. but when looking at her like this, it's easier to understand how Dante was able to be affected by her story. They aren't so different after all, both angry through trauma, both wanting to find a way to reverse things, and both almost guideless until they come together. And not through a romance, thank God. I mean, given their chemistry, it wouldn't be the worst thing, but romance is so damn common in games that a simple friendship is actually refreshing, kinda like how Trish and Dante didn't kiss, implying more of a friendship at the end. However, this link is beyond something like physical appearance, so it does work better. She's even the one that helped tell Dante a certain little line he likes to repeat.
Maybe somewhere out there even a devil may cry when he loses a loved one. Don't you think?
Maybe.
And you should recognize that line. It's the same one Dante sent to Trish, more or less, that demons like them are capable of feeling something as well. She even cried after killing Arkham, smiling too, mourning and celebrating that her vengeance was finally over. And it's because of all this she can never go back to who she was before. The funny thing is, we were supposed to get more backstory for Lady in a manga, and that was cancelled, so we may never know her full backstory. But I think what we got was good enough. Also, while watching another video analyzing this game,
and I do recommend this video because he does an amazing job of dissecting this game's plot. It actually almost made me wonder if I should even bother with this video, but well, fuck it, I'm bothering with this video.
one of the comments I saw in that video was pointing out Lady's eyes, and how they contain different colors, almost kinda resembling the Sparta brothers. I think the development team knew exactly what the hell they were doing with this, and it kinda proves my point. Then there's Arkham, who's also Jester, a surprisingly tough and annoying boss. How well does he handle in the plot? Well, he's not a terribly deep character, but at the same time, I think he's absolutely vital to this plot, as he serves as the extreme version of Vergil, someone who's pure evil as opposed to more of an anti-hero. It's clear he sacrificed all the humanity he had to even attain the form of Jester, along with planning to sacrifice his own family for sinister purposes. Also helping is, well, he wasn't an idiot. He was a great manipulator, even turning around a potentially bad situation as Vergil stabbing him in the back and making his daughter believe he wasn't evil when, well, he totally was. Because of his relation to Lady, it helped her development as well, which in turn helped Dante finally give a crap and learn a lesson. Plus he's able to help the brothers bond briefly and show their chemistry off to each other, particularly during the boss fight and the cutscene that followed. Speaking of, that brings me to the last character, the real threat of the game, Vergil. When it comes to rival characters, I can scarcely think of many who are on par with him. His role as an antagonist already makes this dynamic interesting, but he has elements that mirror and oppose Dante. The obvious similarity comes to their look, but Vergil seems to do everything in his power to not resemble or relate to Dante. You just have to look at the gameplay for that. Dante has multiple styles, Vergil just focuses on one style. The same goes for the weapons too, and the limited style Vergil has. This kind of reflects their views as well, as Vergil shows he is hardly open to any other ideas, narrow-minded in his goals, and even preferring to take care of his foes very quickly. His goal in the end is power. He doesn't care about other people, as seen when the tower rises and likely killed a bunch of citizens. If someone is in his way, he will take them out, plain and simple. This was due to the death of his mother at the hands of demons. Since she was just a human and lacked power, he rejected his humanity in pursuit of something greater. You can see that need for power coming from many things, like trauma messing with his head at such a huge loss at a young age. And there is evidence to go with that, as he takes the time to stare at the amulet left to him, clearly prizing it. It's also something he immediately grabs after losing against Dante in the finale of the game, rather than double back for the sword. But I also like to see this line of thinking as realization that he will never have a normal life. So long as he has Sparta's blood, demons that hate his father will come for him. So why not wipe them all out with sheer force? He even kinda says something like this to Dante after landing a harsh blow on him.
Foolishness, Dante. Foolishness. Might controls everything, and without strength, you cannot protect anything, let alone yourself.
As for his hatred of Dante, you can see that as just having no respect for their father by not embracing his demonic side. Dante did seem to go out of his way to not be similar to his dad after all. Now he isn't barbaric, choosing not to strike down Arkham when they first meet. While he does warn him a second time, his expression seems much more sorrowful than his usual stoic nature, along with his voice. While he doesn't like humans or care if any were killed when the tower rose up, he doesn't plan on wiping out humanity. That's because of his views on weakness and his own honor. When one demon flees from Dante, Vergil or Arkham controlling it, likely the latter due to events later in the game, Vergil kills it since it doesn't bother finishing the fight to the end with his brother. This is another reason he doesn't use guns too, viewing the weapons as dishonorable, though since he strives to be Dante's opposite, that could be another reason.
Magical swords, on the other hand, that can bust into any single combo, those are perfectly fine. There is no hypocrisy here.
Now some might say that the honor thing is bullcrap since he stabs Arkham from behind, but I have a few arguments. The first is that Vergil knew Arkham was going to betray him. He shows his suspicions when looking back at him, sees some of the markings move on his face, and when Arkham keeps waiting for Lady to show up. At that point, Arkham wasn't going to provide any more help. The second could be that Vergil is aware of what Arkham did, and could have seen that as no better than Mundus himself, who sent demons to kill his own mother. With Arkham outliving his usefulness, Vergil could have no reason for him to live. Vergil might have also gotten some enjoyment out of it, given he just doesn't kill him as quickly as he did the other demon earlier in the game. And even then, I'm not arguing that Vergil is some innocent person. But now we go back to Dante, and a bit of back and forth between him and Vergil. He definitely spends a lot of time trying to act cool, and it also ends up being cheesy as you expect despite all the serious stuff happening. I still stand by this attitude though, as it's unique, given more life to it thanks to not only all the new boss fights that can help Dante express himself, but with taunts he can do in the middle of a fight. Plus there are moments he doesn't always prove that his rule of cool gets him out of trouble. One argument against the old DMC is that Dante is overpowered, so fun can't really be had, especially when he isn't shown to be vulnerable. I think this is especially true in the anime, where the only time he seemed to struggle was towards the end, and even then we didn't see him at his real full power. Here though, not only is he fighting for his life against these foes, but his cocky attitude doesn't yield the best results, turning him into, well...
Dante in this game is a freaking dork. And he's awesome for it by trying to be cool, goes to being dorky, and then circles around again to be cool all over again.
Seriously, look what happens to him almost every time he tries to be cool. Saves Lady, he's shot in the head. Demonstrates how awesome his new demon powers are. Eaten up by a giant monster who he then has to cut up from the inside. Fighting Beowulf, gets flattened during the fight, and it's Vergil who gets the cool new weapon. I'm not saying he doesn't have some genuinely cool moments, but even when he succeeds in not getting thrown around, he still comes across as a dork. But it doesn't diminish his sense of fun, and keeps him unique because, let's face it, what other character in gaming does stuff like this? Dante is the kind of guy who will make you remember him purely by dancing while slicing you into ribbons. I'll touch more on this in Devil May Cry 4, mainly because I need more content to talk about in that game. Yeah, I won't be saying a whole lot there. But back to him being a bit more serious. This time he has much better character chemistry, even some of the bosses helping to bring something to the table. Jester and Agni and Rudra help show he doesn't really like anyone who talks more than he does, as well as what can anger him. Cerberus, Grayon, and Navan show he likes to face down any kind of challenge with a smirk. Beowulf shows the resentment he holds towards his dad. Okay, other bosses fail to also do this, which I do think is a problem, but you are able to grasp what kind of personality he has with each fight and playing the game. And what is Dante? An arrogant half-demon who has daddy issues, but learns to grow and fight for something beyond his own needs. This is reflected the most in the final battle, capping off how much Dante and Vergil changed. They take on Arkham together, and, well, actually act like a family. They not only fight together, but use each other's weapons and styles, with Vergil even using Dante's gun. The jackpot would become a staple for Dante, used by him whenever he is in the game. Sometimes, unless it's Marvel vs. Capcom, which gives him this stunt move, it's mentioned as something he and Vergil did a lot, something that actually gets Vergil to smile if you look closely enough.
I'll try it your way for once.
Remember what we used to say? Jackpot.
Not very classy for someone's dying words.
Hell, he even holds the gun sideways like Dante would normally do as well. Of course, what goodwill they have towards fighting a common foe is thrown out the window, leading them to a duel unlike any other. Recall the last two fights, where while Vergil had a motive in getting the amulet and then spilling Dante's blood in the hope to undo a seal, Dante's motive? None really aside from just the fight. Pretty guideless. Yet the roles have been reversed here. At least it seems so to me, as Dante questions what the hell is Vergil gonna do. But Vergil is desperate, not even bothering to explain himself anymore, moving to strike down Dante. And what we get is a speech fitting Dante's character, showing the development he has made and pointing out how their father wouldn't want any of this. He tries to appeal to Vergil's humanity through this, but it's kind of a lost cause. This forces Dante nearly killing his brother, able to get the Force Edge away from him, and in a fight Dante clearly doesn't want for once, as his usual banter is absent. But it's clear Dante had some kind of effect on Vergil, as while Dante tries to save his brother, Vergil rejects his help. Yet not maliciously. Vergil recognizes that their paths are different from one another, and is smiling as he cuts his brother's hand, telling him in his own way to just leave him behind. Considering Vergil seems to value power, it's entirely possible he finally saw Dante as someone he could respect. It's one of the reasons Vergil has been a character people want back, since while he is an antagonist, he feels like one could talk to him. You would likely need Dante to beat him down again, but that's kind of the point considering he is the star of the series. Dante even takes this to heart as well, keeping the glove Vergil slashed. And so we end Devil May Cry, with Dante weeping and showing the last bit of humanity needed for his development. His own transformation into embracing more of his humanity is complete here. Of course, he still ups the fight, and we get the best credit sequence ever. Well, until Bayonetta happened for its amazing ending sequence, but we'll get back to that one day. Still, fighting over 100 demons alongside Lady is very satisfying, and difficult due to the time limit. Now, here's the thing some people might argue me with. My explanations for the characters within this game kinda also come from the manga or any other material that is not specifically from this game. That doesn't show things like Vergil valuing his mother. Granted, that's kinda hinted at, but okay, some people need more stuff spelled out for them. I won't deny that one of those persons might be me. So naturally, given my reign on Final Fantasy 13 and 15, this is something that I should be upset about. To which I can only defend myself by saying,
Yeah, that actually does kind of annoy me a lot. Come on guys, I yelled at Dragon Quest VIII, of course something like this would actually annoy me.
I fully admit it's a problem. This likely could have been fixed by adding a few extra scenes here and there, or even kinda improve on what the original Devil May Cry did by having flashbacks, but this time having, voices, also seeing a character's expression. I mean, it already kinda does that with how characters subtly react to each other, like I already explained. It's unfortunately the biggest damage done to DMC3. But unlike Final Fantasy 15 or 13, I feel the story is still complete without it, and the small cast of characters helps with that. I won't deny it's an issue though, and it is likely one of the main reasons one can argue that even the best Devil May Cry story still isn't good. Also, lady, I don't think you charging in against two superpowered half-breeds is gonna go well. Just stick with your guns. And despite those issues, it's still one of the best prequels as well. It expands on the lore of the series without interfering too much with the main story, giving us a supporting character I want to see more of in Devil May Cry games, has good character development, and most important of all, actually helps improve on the next game. Now we have that necessary context for Vergil turning into Nilo Angelo, opening up more ideas as to what he was thinking while being used by Mundus. Plus it adds far more emotion when discovering Vergil turned into this thing, adding sadness when we finally see in the end, he just became a tool once more for the very thing he stood against. And we also know thanks to the extra ending that Vergil didn't do this willingly. We can also kind of see this in the first game as well, when Vergil saw the amulet, refused to fight his brother until Mundus kept his control over him up. Because of this and many other reasons, Devil May Cry 3 is almost the perfect game for me. We have entertaining characters mixed in with a ton of action and a story that isn't too convoluted and it's easy to understand. And really, that's all you have to do to satisfy me. It's not that difficult. Unless we were talking food. Then I am a picky bastard. Here's a hint. Choose Popeyes.
I'm the smartest moron, and well, next time we won't be covering Devil May Cry 4. Technically, this game will have Dante in it. In fact, you could say it features Dante from the Devil May Cry series. Okay, you know what, I just realized that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It's freaking Nocturne, alright? We're finally covering Nocturne. Until next time.